All right. Number 4, public comment on agenda items only. Seeing that there are none. Number 5 is to approve minutes from August 7th, 2023 City Council meeting. Is there any discussion, concerns, or additions or changes? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Aldridge,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 6, release audio of July 5th, 2023 closed session. I think we had some talk about this. I know that my concern was that if we release the audio, that it'd be something that we have to maintain forever in a database, and that's what I was wondering if we got word on that yet.
And Jason asked me about that just now, and I completely neglected to research that subject for you, so I don't have your answer. So I don't know, you wanna table it until you get that answer? I know it's concerning to Jason about how long you'll need to keep that electronically, and I just don't know off the top of my head.
Well, I got another question. We open the executive sessions in January and July, correct?
Well, the rule is we
Review
just
them,
have to do it
yes.
every 6 months, so we
Yeah.
just said January and July seemed like good
Okay.
months.
We just did this, and I understand that that's part of this whole situation. Would that be violating anything if we went on ahead and approved this?
Well, this is for,
No, you could approve it if you wanted to. There's nothing to say you can't do it every month if you want to, but you don't have to do it until
yeah.
January.
So just for clarification, these closed session minutes were released. This is different. This is
Right.
releasing the verbatim audio file of it instead. That's what the concern is. So, and I know Commissioner Stefanelli and I talked about it, and I do agree with him. I don't think it's a big concern for us to manage this to do, but my concern is that normally once we release the minutes, that's something that the city now maintains forever for the rest of the time. My concern is if we start doing that with digital files, now we have to maintain digital files forever. And you know, I got a feeling that within 10, 20 years, it's something that's probably gonna change that will be mandated, but right now I'd hate to put a requirement on us if it's not a necessity.
Well, then maybe we should table it to make sure it comes up next meeting.
Do we have a
Aye.
book that we keep all the minutes in?
Yes.
Yeah.
What would it take to just put like a little SD card taped in there? You're talking a very small expense, it's a very small footprint. You could just tape it right with the minutes and it would forever be there.
So that is something that we could do, but then do we do that? Are we gonna start making a database of SD cards? You know what I'm saying?
I do, I get it.
That, to me, it wouldn't be a big deal, because right now how it works is anytime we have any closed session minutes or anything like that, like, for example, these video things that are being done, they're not required for us to maintain. So they're just on the internet. If Facebook gets destroyed, they're gone forever. But when it comes to the audio files, we're required to keep them for 18 months. But that's because we're not releasing them. We just release the minutes from it. So that's my concern, is if we start releasing the verbatims, then we have to maintain it forever. And that's what I was hoping we'd get an answer on.
And, you know, what I had said about it was, even the minutes, when they're typed up, they're left in either a PDF or a Word format. They're on our website and they're on our network drive. So to save an audio file, it could be saved in the same folder. There's nothing more to it than that. And you're talking something that's easily emailable for the size of it. So I could understand if it was something where, you know, we're talking about a great effort to do it, but there's no effort whatsoever. It'd be no different than her hitting the save button for the file for our minutes. It would be one and the same.
And I agree with you that, like, for example, most of our minutes, I think it goes back to, what, 2015 or 2014? That if you click on the link, they're digital as well,
Mhm.
right? But if you wanted something earlier than that, it wouldn't be digital. You'd have to go get it from the paper copies that we have. The concern I have is the paper copy is the version we're required to keep, not the digital. But because we'd be saying this is a digital format, we'd be forcing ourselves to be maintaining that, is what I'm saying.
And I don't think it's any more burdensome than keeping this, but this will tie into something later on the agenda here about moving the board packets to digital. I mean, we just kill so much paper here, and I just feel like if we could try and save the city some money by doing
Save
it.
cost.
Yeah, we're saving cost, and this
Okay.
is something that there's no cost involved with it. It's something that there's far more sensitive information that's being stored on our network drive than the minutes from this executive session. It's
Mhm.
already been released, so,
Yeah.
you know, the 15 megabit audio file or whatever it is not something that's of great sensitivity at this point because it has been released. So, however you guys wanna go about it is fine by me, but I just don't think it's burdensome. And I had said what I had said the last meeting was that if we were parsing on, who said what, he said, she said, the only way to really resolve that is just go ahead and release it. And I stand on my own 2 feet about everything that I said and the positions that I took. So either way, however the council wants to do it, I'm fine with it.
I agree with the later half of everything you said there. The part I don't agree with, though, is that there is zero cost involved, because there is a cost at some point in time, and the concern is if we would do this more often or more on a regular basis, now you're starting to have a digital footprint of things that we're required to maintain. So I think there is some kind of cost there to either maintain or to manage it. That's my concern.
The question I have is, if we release this audio file, does that mean that we have to release all of our audio files going forward, or we don't know the answer to that?
Well, we can
Yeah.
vote on whatever we want to do necessarily, but I
Yeah,
just think
don't
it's,
think you're required to release them. So I don't think you'd have to in the future, Terry. I think I
Okay.
can answer that question.
Okay.
So Pat, it'd be à la carte, in other words, it'd be if you vote to release this one, this is the only one that you have to catalog, right?
Right,
Am I understanding it correctly?
Right.
Just like we released the executive sessions now.
yeah.
Correct.
Well, it's different. When we.
You have to have a
Audio,
reason
I
to hold the
understand
Yeah.
executive session
Right.
minutes.
But when we release the executive session, same with all minutes, they're maintained forever.
Right.
Right now, the audio files are not maintained forever. They're destroyed after 18 months. And that's my concern with it. Until I know the answer to that, that's why I can't give a clear vote on it, because I don't know if we have to maintain it forever.
And all I'm trying to do at the end of the day is I'd like to get us away from file cabinets and get us to a more current format so that we're not spending money to print all of this and then send it right to the shredder afterwards. So either way, I don't think it's an undue burden, and I don't think that there's much effort or anything involved with keeping it.
Okay. Any other discussion on the topic?
In an effort to show transparency, I'd like to make a motion to release the audio for July 5th closed session meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's first and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Baldridge,
Aye.
Udis,
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Abstain. Number 7, approve bills in the amount of $546,826.45 as presented for payment.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Baldridge,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 8, approve August 18, 2023 payroll in the amount of $164,932.39.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge,
Aye.
Udis,
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 9, presentation by Cintas on centralized supply storage. I guess we have a presentation for our new screen even and everything, so please take it away.
One moment.
I don't know anyway, so.
I think it's just making sure it's working. That button's to send it to the video screen so people at home can see it. Did it work as intended?
It works as intended.
Hey, look at that.
Good to go?
Go ahead.
All right, good evening, everybody. Terry, I appreciate you giving me and Chris the time to come speak tonight. I'm with Cintas, and so is Chris, obviously. We've been here I've been here with Cintas around 2 years now. Him obviously a little longer. I have a presentation put up for us. It's gonna be a brief one, because obviously I wanna leave time for questions, comments, concerns, whatever you guys have. But our main goal today is obviously show you guys why we might be a benefit to the city of Oglesby, as we are to some other public sectors that I will mention later on. Cintas, our meat and potatoes is uniforms and facility services. We brought upon first aid and safety not too long ago, as with fire protection, because one of our main goals is we wanna make sure we can get into every business in America and service them to their needs and make their lives a lot easier. So we have a whole team of support when you work with us, whether it's our SSRs, who are our sales service professionals, our cutting edge technology, our local Cintas team. We are localized here in Normal, Illinois, where we have around 99 employees, 27 routes where we take care of all the way far north as Ottawa, down south as Springfield. We have teams in your area every single day of the week, so if issues, whatever may arise, we can fix it within the day, within the hour, interest, stuff like that. Our technology, when it comes to, you know, personal route computers, True Count, which is something I'll explain later on, stuff like that, we're able to take care of you guys in any way possible.
One thing that makes us different is we end up becoming your cheapest employee, right? So when our service professionals come in and service the city, they take care of you guys. They become an extension of you guys to make sure that everything you guys need is taken care of. Anything that you guys may not have, we've got on the truck, we're ready to go. We pop open our mobile store, and you guys are taken care of and get ready for the workday. So that's, you know, what we do and why we have grown so significantly, and we're the biggest company in the US that does what we do. So we've become an extension of the city to really help you guys with a lot of areas with our service professionals.
So one of our ambitions is to achieve net zero by 2050. We have spent $318 million with diverse suppliers in FY22. Obviously, this is a big thing when it comes to public sectors. 7.5% in fiscal year 22. Cintas lowered its emissions intensity by 7.5%. This is just a little bit about kind of what we're doing to gain that ambition by 2050. Just some quick highlights, stuff like that.
So one of the biggest things that we do right now is our environmental and social, our goals that we're trying to do and achieve, because we realize that, you know, this is a plan that we want to share by everybody. We actually are the creators of the kind of environmental space. So when we were founded in 1929, the two founders of Cintas, they were circus performers that took shop towels that were just being thrown away. They took them out of the trash can in the Great Depression, rewashed them, relaundered them, and reused them and rented them back to businesses. So we actually created kind of that industry of reusing and repurposing things. And we've really taken it a long way since we started back in 1929, which is pretty cool.
Also, the right product in the right place at the right time. As you can see, we are all over the United States and above and beyond. We have one of the largest fleets in America, I believe second just behind UPS or FedEx. So we have 13 distribution centers, and why that is important is because we are able to get the product when we need it, when you guys need it, and such so. As far as rental and stuff, we have a distribution center right here in Chicago to where we are getting orders in weekly, and we don't miss a beat. As far as right product, right place, I mean, we have 500 stock rooms across America. Each location is connected, so if your local facility is out of something, we can find it in the next closest Cintas location and get it to you quickly.
One thing that's cool is we actually make and manufacture a lot of our own products too. So our dispensers, we partner with Carhartt, with Zep, with Rubbermaid, with the hand sanitizer.
Yeah, we're also with Germax.
Germax, but we make and manufacture that. We're their largest customer. So when the pandemic happened and nobody could get hand sanitizer, we called up Germax and said, we need it, our warehouses were full, all of our customers got hand sanitizer and you couldn't find it on the shelves anywhere. We manufactured the Carhartt for them. So that, you know, kind of gives you like the flex that we have. When you guys need something and everybody's out of toilet paper or something as simple as Germax, we can take care of you guys in that with our route specialists.
And it's funny because Carhartt itself, us being its biggest vendor, we actually sold and, you know, provided more Carhartt uniforms than Carhartt did itself in the past couple of years. And then also my Cintas. This is something that we have been implementing and perfecting in the past years. It's a new way to manage your account with 24/7 access. It's something that you can review with billing, your accounts, your activity, the services. True Count, which is one of the major things that kind of takes us apart from our competitors, is if you guys got uniforms, we're going to come in and scan each garment. We're going to print out a ticket when we're done and show you exactly what we picked up and dropped off on a weekly basis so you can keep track of everything. It holds us liable, make sure we're bringing it out for you guys each and every week. Also, you know, as far as like audits and stuff like that, if you guys need information regarding that, that is all available on MyCintas.
And you do quarterly reviews for this, so Becky, when you're wanting to pull bills, you want to see your spend, leverage that, you can pull this, all the information is stored right here in an online portal that you guys have full access to, full view, that makes it easy. If you guys have a request, you guys can send an email through this portal and it goes to your sales specialist that comes in and delivers things. He can do it on an off day. So let's say he serves you guys on a Thursday, he'll see that, you know, the minute you put it in, and then we may have somebody up there that could take care of you that same day. So you do, we call it off-day maintenance when we don't service you guys. So we can take care of you guys anytime. This portal gives you full view of everything you're doing and anything you guys may need. and can create through the My Cintas app, which is pretty cool, because you guys have literally access at your fingertips to anything you guys need on that, when it comes to that. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about Omnia. So Omnia is the public sector, that we go through at the Lee Public Agency. So it's a U.S. Communities, cooperative purchasing agreement that we leverage and able to, get in the public sector. So with Nebraska, Prince William Schools, and the city of Tucson, we're able to go through an Omnia, cooperative partnership that gives you guys, national account pricing, and then through that lead publication, you guys get the resources that are in that portfolio to keep the prices extremely low, and we have ceiling prices on everything, so that's I mean, if you guys have worked there's a lot of companies that do Omnia, or partner with them, but us partnering with Omnia is that trusted, lead public agency that you guys know, that we partner with to give you guys the best solution products and pricing, out there. And the great thing about Omnia, because it is already publicly bidded and awarded, you don't have to go to public bid for this because it already has been vetted, through our Omnia, lead public agency. We just did the University of Nebraska. That, was one of our most recent ones that, we tied to Omnia, that was, vetted out at the most recent, time. So we partnering with Omnia, nobody else does, so you're getting the best, bang for your buck through Omnia.
So I included this because it's a one-source solution to keep you rated. Obviously, we want to make sure we're, like we said earlier, your cheapest employee. So we want to keep it a managed system to where we're coming in and you guys don't have to worry about it. So this is just an example of things we do for the city of Havana, city of Fairbury. We just recently partnered with the Chicago Public School District. Also CWTC, Community Workshop Training Center in Peoria. We're able to get in every resident, shape, or size. Nothing's too small. But this is definitely like one of our main sectors of our business. And that's kind of why I included this, just so you guys can see kind of where we stand.
No matter what location it is or wherever it is, we can come and service that same building, drop off toilet paper, paper towels, soap, uniforms, you name it, and any of your guys' different locations around. We have our, route specialist, that is your guys' cheapest employee, that goes and manages and maintains that. So whoever's doing that today now can focus their efforts on something that's gonna be, leverage time, energy, money, on things that you guys don't have to spend those resources on today. Where with us, it's all part of the process, program that we offer. So we go around and we take care of all these, areas for you. We do it in a lot of cities. I've signed up, when I was a rep, now I'm actually a hunter's manager, but when I was a rep, signed up quite a bit of cities, and we would stop at all the locations, drop off what they needed, manage their inventory, don't set them up with anything more than what their par level that we set is, and we do that weekly. So you're not buying a bunch of stuff and stocking it and then having it sit there. It's having you, use what's on the shelf and nothing more. So it's just in time delivery.
Workwear and apparel, now we're kind of getting into the main stuff, some of the details. Our main things when it comes to workwear is obviously we want comfort, flexibility. People's, stuff your guys might wear on the weekends when they go to Farm and Fleet, wherever it may be to buy some clothes. So we do flame resistant clothing, Carhartt, obviously our biggest partner, high visibility workwear, classic workwear, high image apparel, and also women's workwear as well. So benefits of the rental program is, if you're getting garments destroyed, or if you're worried about ordering new ones for, seasonal stuff like that, we take care of all that for you. So if there's a damaged uniform and we bring it back to the plant, we can't repair it, you're gonna get a new one at no charge. I also want to revert a little bit back to Omnia. When it comes to us servicing you guys, going to each facility, there's also no service charge with Omnia. So there's no extra charges, you are paying for specifically what you are getting.
A little bit about our wash process. Everything we do is through a Hoinstein. It's an audit process. So everything, whether it's your shop towels, whether it's terry towels to wipe down buildings or microfiber, everything has its own wash process, and it's hygienically clean to CDC standards, whether it's a uniform for Public Works or a microfiber that's gonna go to clean a building. Everything is hygienically clean, and we are audited once a year through Hoinstein. We go through WSI. It's our wash. They help us with our formulations, and so everything, whether it's jeans, cotton, FR, it's all soil separated and washed individually, so that way you don't have to worry about a dirty road shirt with healthcare microfiber that's gonna go clean a hospital. We soil separate everything to ensure that there's no kind of cross-contamination on anything we do. with our wash process, which is pretty cool. Let me talk about True Count.
True Count I talked about a little bit, but this is definitely really important because it allows you to keep track, especially if you have, let's say, one of your guys quits or whatever it may be, and we need to get the returned uniforms. We're gonna scan every one that they may return, and this is just an example. That way, it kind of shows you what we picked up, it holds us liable, holds you liable, and allows everything to be a little bit more organized and kind of separated so that we can take care of it.
This is really the meat and potatoes of what we had talking about
Yeah,
earlier.
and Terry, this is one of the major things that you had brought up was our facility services. Our mats, our mops, our microfiber, our restroom supplies and dispensers, our cleaning chemicals and shop towels. One of the best things about us is with our own line of dispensers, we put up and maintain every single dispenser, no matter what it is, for absolutely no cost to you. And this is, if one breaks, we're gonna come replace it for you at no charge. Also our cleaning chemicals, I can almost guarantee, even under the Omnia program with everything, we're gonna save at least 20% of chemicals.
So with the chemicals, we work with Diversity. Diversity is a creator of Windex, so you're getting high brand chemicals that are rebranded through us as Signet, and you're paying for concentrate, not pre-diluted Pine-Sol or anything else. So I guarantee no matter what you guys are doing today, we can save you a minimum of at least 20% on your chemical spend for your cleaning products that you guys are using today because of the way we do them as far as the chemicals go. And our route specialist comes in, fills your reservoirs, takes care of all that, takes the guesswork out of it. And with the chem unit, all you have to do is when you're filling spray bottles with anything, you literally it's like filling up a soda can. You put it up in a nozzle, push a button, and it pre-dilutes everything and fills it to the proper dilution ratio of what that chemical requires with our chem unit, which is pretty cool.
And then also our mats, another big important thing that we do. We're not just taking them back and vacuuming them or power washing them. We are washing mats with mats and big washers to where we are extracting everything off of them, so we can guarantee that you are getting clean mats on a weekly basis. We're gonna come in, we're gonna switch them out. It leaves less footprint on your floors, it leaves less cleaning. That way, like I said, you guys can spend more time doing what needs to be done. Typical business can save 20+ hours per week using our facility services program.
I think that's the biggest thing for the city is that 20 hours you can take that and put it into some of the things today, and where could you reallocate those resources in your city that are taking care of some of these things today?
This is just real brief. First aid and safety is just another one of our divisions. First aid cabinets, safety supplies and PPE, AED products and services, safety training, eye wash service, water break. This can all be tied under the same ordeal. Also the same with fire protection, whether it's the fire extinguishers, the sprinklers, emergency and exit lighting, the whole 9 yards we're capable of doing.
Do all that. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell and a quick presentation, so we don't extend this on. And welcome for any questions you guys may have.
How big of a footprint would you need to set up the operation for the supplies?
It could be as small as a walk-in little closet. I mean, it's whatever you guys have we work with. I mean, we work in coffee shops where we got 2, shelves to put our supplies on. I mean, we can work with whatever you have.
Okay.
So, and when it comes to the footprint, it's all custom, because there's no footprint that's the same.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm most interested in. Commissioner Udis and I had this conversation probably even a couple of years ago. Every once in a while you'd see a bill that would come through and, the guys have, pick up a box of shop towels, toilet paper, and a case of water. And you look at the total bill on that, you're like, it costs more to send them than it was for the product itself. And I don't know how many times things like that are happening throughout. So having a centralized kind of supply, obviously there's money being saved there just for that reason. The thing I did not know a whole lot about, and I would love to get more information, not just from me, but I got multiple departments here that either have a requirement for high visibility clothing, fire resistant clothing. Right now we do it as a thing to where we give a certain dollar amount out for that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't be opposed to getting more information about what's out there, especially if there's a cost savings involved and a better way to manage it.
Yeah, so when it comes to your FR clothing, the one thing that most people don't know is that if you wash it and launder it at home, you're probably putting fabric softener or something with it, and it's taking away that flame resistant quality characteristics. Because our Carhartt flame resistant clothing, when you get an arc flash or something, it goes out in less than a second. But you add fabric softener, it starts to smolder on that shirt, things like that. So they're not probably laundering it the best way, so it's making them unsafe when they're out in the field. And doing that, so back when I was a uniform rep, I set up the city of Winfield. They manage their own gas and electric, and I set them up with all of our high-vis flame resistant clothing, and they saved, I can't remember the gap analysis, extensive amount of money between the 5 guys, they only have 5 guys on the gas and electric, the amount of money they saved at the end of the year versus buying their uniforms year after year after year, and having us launder them, replace them when they get torn, ripped, shredded, when that high vis gets mud or something kicked all over, you can't get it off, and it no longer meets the class 2 or class 3 requirements for the high vis. We just simply replace it and flip it out. So the amount of money they saved over, I think we did a 5-year gap, was pretty exorbitant amount of money that they were saving on that side of it.
Yeah, I'd love if there was more details that we can share out, because nearly every department's got people that fit these requirements and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Any other questions?
No?
Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much. I think you'll definitely be hearing from us and
Yeah.
getting some more information.
Awesome, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Next up is number 10, Design Review Board recommendations in regards to Cordelinos building permit application. So the Design and Review Board had met, I think at 5:30 tonight. There was a building permit that came in from Cordelinos in regards to putting up a kind of a sound, what would you call it here? Band shelter stage. So if you take a look at the recommendation, they didn't have any issues with it. They had a couple questions essentially, but they didn't have a problem approving it. Anybody have any questions, concerns, or comments over any of that? If not, I think we need a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, roll call, please.
Baldridge,
Abstain.
Udis,
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 11, ordinance number 1231-082123, salary and benefits for police department administrative assistant. Commissioner Yates, you want to talk about this at all?
Yeah, so we discussed this last meeting. There's been there's no changes. It's gonna start at $19 per hour, increase to $20 per hour after 3 months, and $22 per hour after 1 year of employment. As far as benefits, it will be consistent with the FOP, collective bargaining agreement. So, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. It's going to allow us to kind of move forward with the plans as we get into more digital requirements with, the readers and the cameras and all that kind of stuff. So, any other questions, discussions on it? If we can get a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 1231-082123.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge,
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 12, resolution number 1232-082123, adding additional ambulance employees to IMRF. Commissioner Yates, you want to talk about this one as well, or?
Yes, so we talked about this last meeting as well, and Pat prepared it for us. We just took a lot of the fluff out of the language in there. There was a lot of, in my opinion, language in there that really was redundant and didn't really clarify anything, saying the same thing over and over. So we made it simpler and just said that the ambulance department will be afforded up to 6 employees to work over 1,000 hours, and if they do, they will be eligible for IMRF retirement benefits. However, they will not be entitled to any other benefits. My only question, and this is for Pat, I know there's some new legislature out there as it pertains to part-time employees and offering a benefit level. Are you familiar with that legislature?
Yes.
And
there
we're still
is.
exempt?
There is. Well, those are relating to sick days and those
Vacation
type
time.
of matters. Do you provide any of that to these employees now?
No.
No.
Okay, well, I think you're gonna be required to, whether it's in this ordinance or not, once those go into effect.
So-
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
So we have something.
But that could be whether they're working 500 hours or 2,000 hours. I mean, it is relative to the amount of hours they work for the city, but you're gonna be required to provide those benefits in Illinois.
So just to make you aware, as far as that goes, we are looking to update our personnel policy, and we're going through some different revisions. And one of them that our labor attorneys talked to us about, that as long as we have that in some kind of written adopted policy prior to January 1st of 2024.
Correct.
We can, and the policy offers at or more than what the state does, we can go off our own policy. So we have some months on that, but I think we're gonna get that wrapped up as far as that aspect goes. The other thing I thought that was good with this ordinance, the last one was really just I thought was more restrictive. It had a total of 3 people on IMRF that could go above, but it named them specifically.
Right, that's what I didn't like.
So.
We took that out.
Yeah, so by taking this out, it gives a lot more flexibility there for the department, because for those that maybe not didn't tune into the last one, Commissioner Hughes briefed us on the concern is when the, what is it, the coding change? Maybe you can speak to it smarter than I
Yeah,
can.
so what happened is when St. Margaret's closed, that is the EMS system that our ambulance was operating under. So the way a paramedic works is they have to work underneath of a doctor's license. So they were working under whoever was the project medical director for St. Margaret's. When that dissolved, they had to switch to OSF out of Ottawa, so St. Elizabeth, and that's Dr. Ahmad Khan. So there were some hoops they had to jump through in order to be accepted by that EMS system. There was a test, and they had to show that they knew the protocols in that system, because they differed slightly. And we had 4 of our employees, who is basically about 20% of our staff, decide not to go through the testing process. So they just decided to hang it up. And I think a lot of those employees, the way I understand it, were nurses
Okay.
who had, employment at a nursing level and didn't really need this job. They were doing it to help.
So instead of being able to spread out our resources with more employees doing the same amount of hours, we have less employees that are doing the same amount of hours, so there's more hours for each one. So hence the need for this, this modification here. Any questions, concerns over it? Anything else? In that case, if I could have a motion to approve, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Ballhorn.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 13, ordinance number 1233-082123. This sets who is allowed to add agenda items to the council agenda. So I will just say this about it. The irony is I should be actually relatively happy that this is something you guys want to make a modification to, because it actually makes my job easier then. But I will be voting no on it for 2 reasons. One, I think, in my opinion, it is the mayor's responsibility to make sure that you are having a clean agenda, something it's concise. It represents what the people know that we're going to be voting on and talking about and discussing with good, clean language. So I think that's a responsibility of the mayor. The second thing is, and I know we talked about it a little bit last time, but there has been nothing that anybody's ever wanted on the agenda that has not gone on the agenda. It has gone on in different wording, or it has gone on in a different location. But I've never been opposed to having a discussion about anything. My concern is with allowing anybody to add something to the agenda. I fear that this will put things on there that the public's not 100% aware of yet that we're trying to vote on. So that's my concern. Any discussions on that?
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with your take on it's the mayor's responsibility to put items on the agenda. I think you're going off of Robert's Rules of Order, and the way it was worded was dated and not kept up to date with the Opens Meeting Act. So just respectfully disagree with your statement, that's all.
That's a fair assessment. I'd give that, because that is true. So what Commissioner Hughes is talking about is, if you look at Robert's Rules of Order, it is designed that the chairperson comes up with the agenda. However, one of the first things that happens on a meeting is that you would usually vote and ratify to make any changes to the agenda before the meeting started. But because we have the rules of the Opens Meetings Act, it puts something out to where that stuff has to be in writing 48 hours beforehand. So he is correct when he says that. Any other comments or questions? In that case, I'll entertain a motion to whatever action you want to take.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ballhorn.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
No. Number 14, seek bids for Clark Street Sewer Separation Project. Commissioner McDermott, you want to talk about this at all?
Okay, guys, we received a grant, and it's gotta be a third party, so I gotta open bids. I'd like to do it as soon as possible.
Yep.
With the approval of the board, or the council here.
Yep, so
Okay.
no matter what the cost is, the first 200,000 is covered by the county, so we do have to get this going, so.
The sooner we get started, the better.
Any other questions?
Prices keep going up.
So do we need formal motion?
Go out for
Okay.
bid.
I'll
Complete-
definitely make. a
set it out
motion
for
if we're
bids.
ready.
Go out for
If
bid.
there's no other discussion, then I'll make a motion so you can get the wheels turning.
All right,
Okay.
can I get a
Well,
sec?
As You already made the motion, so I guess I'll second it. How's that?
All right, roll call.
I definitely want this.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Number 15, tag day request from Oglesby Knights of Columbus. This is for the Tootsie Roll Drive. So normally we would approve all of our tag day requests specifically earlier in the year, but the Knights of Columbus, they have to get their, I believe it's like, they have to get a national letter that says when they're gonna go out to do it. So that's why theirs comes a little bit later. Anybody have any questions, concerns over that? If I can get a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Knights of Columbus Tootsie Roll Drive.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, please.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Stefani.
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. First item under old business is we have solicitor permit applications, and I believe our attorney does have an answer on some of the things that he found out when looking up about what we can and cannot approve.
So once they go through the background checks and all that, which Becky has marshaled them all through, it's completely up to the city council as to whether or not to accept or reject any application. So you have the ability to reject them if you want to, or accept them. It's really just up to you. That was a question the last time, so I wanted to look it up. I don't think you should pick and choose between vendors of the same solicitation, because that would potentially get you into trouble. But I think if you deny them all, you'd be less likely to get any complaints about it.
So in other words, don't allow certain solar application vendors and disallow other solar applicants, then you're
Correct.
picking and choosing.
Correct.
I think that's,
Correct.
I think it's easy.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, I don't know if residents have ever reached out to me, or if anybody reached out to anybody that says, boy, I really would like to get some solar on my roof. If I just had people knocking on my door to talk about it with me. I feel like everybody that's put in a solar application can find the resources to go out there. So I don't know what everybody else thinks about that.
I've had quite the opposite experience. Any resident or neighbor that I've talked to doesn't necessarily care to have somebody knocking on their door.
That's what I meant.
Total-
That's what I
he's
meant.
A total
That's what
stranger.
he's
That's what I
saying.
meant.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So my position would be that, I just don't know that I could be a yes vote on this. I don't think
Okay.
my neighbors would be happy with me if they just had random people coming up knocking on the door trying to solicit them.
So if I'm correct, one of them pulled their application, I believe you said, was so they already pulled theirs, and then the other ones, do we want to take a motion then possibly to not approve,
To deny.
to deny? Trying to make sure I got the number.
I think
have
with
their
all the
names here. I'd rather have-
technology out there now, people can look up what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, even somebody that ain't computer
I don't know if I
savvy.
want to list off all 9
I
names.
agree
Do we
with, I
have-
agree with you on that.
I just say the solar applications.
Oh, on the folder.
Yeah.
Is it just the one? Because there's 2 different ones, I thought, right?
That's the one that's still standing, the other one pulled out.
Sunner, is that what it's called?
Sunrun, I believe.
Sunrun. All right, if I can get a motion to deny Sunrun solicitor's permit, then we can move on then.
And also
I'll make a motion that we
he's
deny.
not selling the educational materials done.
Does he have his name of his company in here? Let's see it here.
Do we ever determine what he's up to, what he's selling?
We're not encyclopedias.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
You
an
need-
educational material,
Yeah, right.
Educational books.
educational books.
He's been allowed in every other town, I think, no? Yeah.
Is he?
I don't have his name of his company here.
Educational
doesn't
books
have a
mean a lot.
company.
I just have his,
Yeah.
I just have his name.
Pretty subjective.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't have a company, Jason.
Do we just wanna make a blanket motion? Do we need the
Yeah, I don't
specifics
know.
here, or do we want,
I
are we,
think you need the names, yeah.
do we have to
all
list
of
them all off?
Can we just say Sunrunner Corporation and then this gentleman's name?
Sunrunner has all of these applicants
There's
underneath
9
them.
names. 9.
Yeah, we're not doing
So
that.
the 9 applications from the Sunrunner affiliates,
Are to be
would that
denied.
And then the
suffice,
one,
you think,
and then the
Becky?
one with
Well, can't we
Jonathan
just say
Hancock.
we're denying
I
them?
think that would be fine.
Could I get a motion for that,
Let's
please?
just
I
deny
think
all
Commissioner
of them.
McDermott already made a motion
Did you?
while we
Made
were
him-
during
made
discussion
him
here.
An emotion to deny them all.
Deny the 9
Yeah.
applications
Yeah.
from the Sunrunner
Well, I
affiliates
ain't gonna show
plus
favoritism
Jonathan
one way or the
Hancock.
other.
Is
Yeah.
the
that
one
correct?
from Jonathan Hancock, is that correct,
Yes.
Mac?
Everybody understand
Okay.
that motion?
Yeah.
Can I get a
Oh,
second?
yeah,
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
let's do it.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. I don't really have other stuff under old business here. There's a couple things that we were talking about, and they unfortunately didn't get on here. Commissioner Udis and I are talking about the burn ban stuff. I think we have some good language that we're ready to probably talk about at the next meeting. And then another item that kind of got moved off when we had a working meeting that we didn't have enough time was the sewer check valves reimbursement program. So we're going to be talking about it the next one. But for right now, number 17, new business. I have moving board packets to digital. Commissioner Stefanelli?
Yeah, so, what I'd like to do, we've had some loose conversation about it, but I wanted us to actually be able to talk openly about it now. I mean, you see how our table looks, there's just paper strewn all over, and basically, to me, in my eyes, as the accounts and finance person, this is just dollar signs that end up going into the shredder eventually. So, I realize that to go electronic, it would be an upfront cost. It's not astronomical, and I'll take you through some of the pricing on it, but I do think if we went with like an iPad or something similar to that, for the clerk, she can be more efficient, because anything that's been typed up and printed out, she'll have in a Word file or a PDF file that can be placed right in a common drive there, where all we do is just touch it and it comes right on up on our screen. When we're done with it, we close out of it, go on to the next piece of business. It's something that I think we'll be able to use for a good amount of time, because our need for it is very basic. We're just looking at documents, maybe some photos. We're not out there making videos or doing multimedia with it. The other thing that I like personally about the iPad is we can screen share to the presentation monitor behind us. So if, for example, I had something that I wanted for everybody here to see, instead of me passing it around, what I could do is I could just hit the button and it would appear on the screen behind us. So I think it'd be a step in the right direction. You guys know there's no secret. I'm trying to get us out of the Stone Age with some of the stuff that we're doing, and for the costs that we're talking, I just think that it's something that will recoup that money over a certain period of time by not having to put all that money into paper, the shredder, the ink, the copier. So however you guys want to, offer your input, that's my 2 cents on it.
Another key point for me is email. It's gonna give me one device to keep my email on instead of trying to read my phone, which is not fun anymore.
Gets worse when you get older, Terry.
I think you're right on a lot. The one thing is, you didn't really touch on a whole lot though, but, I mean, there's one thing for copying when it's the black and white, but we actually pay a decent amount when it comes to coloring. Like if we have color presentations ever or something like that, there's actually a big cost savings with that. I do think that at some point in time, there's always gonna be a certain amount of digital, or print. For example, I would be afraid to be standing here looking at the agenda on and then it just dies and it's gone. I'm like, I don't even know what the next item is. So I think for me, I'll always have probably a written agenda in front of my face. But you're right though, for 90% of the stuff that's in there, I mean, unless there's a specific item that we're gonna sit and take a look at and say, hey, I disagree with this aspect of this ordinance, so then we pull it out and we actually look at it. 95% of the time, we're not pulling it out. So having it just on the screen in front of you would probably solve a lot of those issues.
The other thing is, if we're looking at something that, we could also present it to the public. So whether it's an ordinance that we're passing or a resolution, we can put it up on the screen and actually have it so that it's viewable. So that's another thing that's advantageous about it. But I do like the fact that there's a lot of things we can do with it. We can get away from some of the paper. And like you said, if we still need to use some paper for some things, it's still gonna be a drastic cost cutter.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand, though, I'm sure the residents probably don't care to look at the ordinance stuff up there, but anytime we've had stuff that's talked about like a layout, like the parking lot or something like that, people are very engaged to know what that looks like. So those things have an incredible amount of value to them.
Well, your accounts and finance commissioner is trying to help you along with that.
And those are colored ones too, so that's.
And those are
There you
color,
go.
at no extra charge.
That's where the money comes in.
Well, we could also save the environment too, that's doing our.
Mac is going green.
So what we're looking,
No.
what we're looking at would
Just
be,
care about the environment and people.
it'd be like a 10.9 iPad with the Wi-Fi, so we'd be able to actually access our network here. And it'd be a good size. It'd be probably, I'd say, about the size of the paper, right?
That's 8.5 by 11.
Well, yeah, right there, I mean, 10.9, 11. But I think it'll be a nice size where if you're actually trying to read something, whether it's a piece of paper, I mean, if you're only losing an inch or two, I mean, it's still the same size. What we're looking at per device, you could start at $2.99 per device, and that's a refurbished device, so that we're responsible about spending the money, that we're not buying the latest and greatest, we're buying what will work to get us by. And, you know, we can go up to like $749, then there's also a keyboard that comes with it, and a cover. So, you know, at the end of the day, it may seem like, you know, a couple $1,000s up front might be an expenditure, but I think as we go on, not having to do all this is probably, it's gonna pay for itself.
I apologize, I do have one question. How would we maintain these devices? I mean,
Well,
If
just
we
like how we have our regular laptop computers and that, they can go into the clerk's office when we're not in session here, they can be charged there. You know, they can all be accessible for us, for the elected folks, if we come in on a given day and wanna access them. But, you know, for security purposes, we don't necessarily have to leave them out on the table if we're not in session. They can be secured in the clerk's office, and to set up an area where they could be charged is no big deal. I mean, it's just a cord like how you're
will there
charging
be-
your
Will
phone.
there be somebody that would maintain them if something went wrong with the computers, what I'm asking?
Oh, I see what you're
Cellular
saying.
provider.
Yeah. We'd have to add them to
Yeah.
Connecting Points contract if we wanted
Is
that.
that what we're gonna do then?
I don't know
I
that that's
discussed,
necessary.
I discussed that with him, Mac, and, he said that they were plenty able to do it, but I think for what we're looking to do right now, we don't necessarily have to do it right away. I think that's something I would probably recommend that
But
we
that
wait
would
on.
be an option, wouldn't it?
There
Yeah.
shouldn't be much to go around with.
No.
I don't know
No,
about you guys, but I've had mine for 5
Right.
years and
Yeah.
I've never had a thing go wrong.
yeah.
It
But
does
when it
updates on
does,
its
you
own.
need somebody there.
In worst case scenario, if it doesn't work that day for whatever reason, you print off a packet and come back old school for the day. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Or grab
absolutely.
another one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't foresee us having, durability problems, because we're not outside with them. It's not like the guy who's in the field where,
Mhm.
you know, gets tossed on the seat and then he's in inclement weather and he's
Yeah.
trying to,
But
you
we're
know.
all familiar with accidents do happen, things happen.
Yeah.
Well, my question, Tony, I guess I'm a little bit confused. Is this something you plan on us having on our person so we can use it on a daily basis, or something that your vision is to keep it at City Hall and only use it at council meetings?
I think that's kinda up to you guys. I'm indifferent about it. If it's something you wanna take with you and you wanna work off of it, as long as we understand that it's a city device now, it's not our personal device like your cell phone. I have no problem with it.
Or it
I
could
leave that
be-
entirely up to you guys.
I guess my thought process is, I'd like to keep everything locally on one device, because I'm so scattered between work and home and
Mm.
phone, and I just would love to have something I can carry with me so that all my city stuff is in one
Would we
place.
be capable to use our own personal device? That's a good idea too.
What do you mean?
Well, if I had one on my person, I could take it down to the street department, wherever I
Oh,
need.
absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. I'm just saying, you know, the difference is right now, if you're returning email from your personal phone, that's your personal device. But
Right.
this would be a city-issued device, so it's property of the city, and then anything on it would be subject to FOIA,
Yeah.
all that.
Same as your city
That's-
phone.
that's fine.
Same
your
as the city
phone.
Just
phone.
like the city
Yeah.
phone.
So as far as it leaving the building, I have no problem. If you're the one who's taking it, it's your device, that's fine, no problem. But, you know, as long as there's a sense of responsibility there, which we're all grown-ups, I think, I don't foresee an
We
issue
all
with it.
accepted the responsibility when we sat at this table.
Yeah, and here we are, right?
Now,
There you
Tony,
go.
is your
That's how I
vision to
feel
have
about
this
it.
hooked to a data plan too, or just have it on Wi-Fi?
I think we could start out with Wi-Fi.
Well,
If
you have
there's-
to know if they're gonna be that, if you wanna go that route, though, when you purchase
What
them.
type of device,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah, I would say just with Wi-Fi,
Okay.
Terry, right now, because the thing is, we're also putting in for a grant down the road where we may be able to get nicer models of these and recycle them through, and then at that time, maybe we can go with a nicer device. But for right now, if we're inside a building with Wi-Fi, we can connect and get everything we need, and that'll help keep the cost down.
What about those that are opposed to iPhone?
Well, that's certainly your choice, and this is,
I know
Yeah.
everybody else, I feel like I'm the only person in the world sometimes that's an Android lover instead of iPad, but.
I
I'm
mentioned
thinking-
this to Tony Jason, I think we ought to have the choice whether you want a Chromebook or, you know, whatever the heck the Android alternative is, if that's your jam, then
Yeah,
have at it.
I think the idea is good. I mean, we are trying to move along with the digital age, obviously, so if it's something that we think improves and saves money over time, I guess, and whatever one you wanna choose with, I'll defer to whatever you think, how much money we save versus what the cost should be.
well, it's a group decision. I want you guys to make the decision with what you're comfortable with. Me personally, I mean, I have an Apple phone, so the iPad would be easy for me to navigate through, cause the operating system is one and the same. But if if you're an Android user and you decided that you wanted to go with like, what is it, the Amazon tablet or the Surface Pro or
Samsung or
whatever.
I don't have any tablets at home, so it doesn't bother me either way. My thing is whatever we have up here, just so it doesn't go dead on you in the middle of the
No,
meeting. That's the
no,
big
They
thing.
have good.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, that's,
That'd be the only thing that would get me is,
Yeah.
I know I'm like, and it's locked.
And-
Okay, here we go.
as far as the Plan B part of it, we do have a plug-in underneath us now. I've wired us all up so that we have that, so there's always a Plan B in place. If for some reason the battery died on you, you can plug right in and get right back up and running.
Something new's been added.
Any other feedback on that, or?
So if, I don't know if you wanna, give this some thought, and maybe bring this up at the next meeting and then take some action on it then. It'll give you some time to think about it and digest it, and then,
That's always a good thing to actually think about it and see where we're
I
at.
think it would be appropriate because it's really not on the agenda for action tonight.
Well, the cost is so, it'd be something he'd be able to purchase anyways. I think he was just trying to get a consensus. on
yeah, the
what-
cost is below where we'd have to have council approval, but I would like for everybody to do with what is comfortable to them. I'm not, if I'm an Apple user, I'm not gonna force you to use an Apple product.
Give you a hard time.
No, that's fine, I'm good with it. I'm just saying, if you feel more comfortable with, a Windows-based product, we can still do one and the same with it. I just think at the end of the day, if we can get rid of all the paper, that would be the goal, so.
That's a good goal.
If we give us 2 weeks to think about it, come back with what it is that you desire, we can actually put it together and take it and go with it.
All right. Next item, under new business, updating the part-time wage ordinance. So, I don't know if you kept the one in here. I know there's a couple of examples of what wage ordinances and stuff used to be in the past. So, back in 2007, it looks like there was a range of $7. So what this is this is the part-time ordinance that allows, the various council members to hire part-time people, under a certain wage amount. Back in 2007, it looks like the range was $7.50 to $10.50 an hour. 2008 went from minimum wage to $14 an hour. 2011, it went from, just says $14.40, that's all it says. And then, minimum wage to $14.40, and then in 2018, went from minimum wage to $17. So that's the last time it got updated. As everybody knows, right now, minimum wage is going to $15 in January. So if we don't update it, what that means is minimum wage would be $15, and then the range is 17. So this allows the various commissioners to hire, whether it's the parks help, the ground maintenance person, or even lifeguards, that kind of stuff. So I think we need to discuss the possibility of moving the range, at least whether it's now or anytime before the new year. I think is something that we really should do. Any concerns over that?
Can we do this, according to classification or what type of job function they're performing?
Yeah, what do we have now?
I think that would be up to the commissioner's discretion.
Yeah, right now you have full discretion to do that, minimum wage to 17, and for whatever role you want to make. It's where you start giving the full-time pay and benefits and stuff. That's where we do the ordinance, like we did tonight for a new position. But that way, it gives you the maximum flexibility. Right now, you can hire, if you want to call it a lifeguard or a head lifeguard, or whatever assistant, grass cutter, or you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, you have that ability to do that now.
The part-timers, they can only go up to so many hours before they get the benefits, right?
Correct.
Yes. Now, this is separate than what we have to, now, keep in mind, by the end of the year, if we don't have something approved in writing, we're gonna be forced under the state law that we have to give people so much sick time. Is it sick time and vacation, or is it both? Yeah,
Both.
sick time,
Yeah.
sick, that they accrue
I
sick
think
time
it's
vacation.
actually accumulated and they can use it for either one.
Yeah. So there is some stuff that we have to get done, and if we don't do this one with the wage thing, all that does is it's just gonna, I'll be honest, it's just gonna tie your hands a little bit more, that your range is 15 to 17.
I'd be comfortable with 19 to 20, somewhere in that range. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I think at the end of the day, you know, you have to be competitive, and you're gonna get what you pay for. I mean, if you're not offering a lot, you're not gonna get a lot in return. I mean, at least if you give yourself the flexibility where if the person's coming in and they have the skills that can help you, and that's a way to get them started, I think this is actually, it'd be a benefit for us to go up with
Yeah.
that number a little bit.
I think that there are times that you guys have had to hire some people and bringing them at 17, and that's your max limit that you could do, and I think it did handcuff you on some resources for a few things. So I think by moving it to at least 19 is something that would be wise, at least. Unless we want to wait a little bit longer to see if we want to pair it with, what's your thoughts on that, Pat? Putting it into the wage ordinance as well, or, because right now we're thinking about putting all those other requirements into just the personnel policy? Or do you think it should be
I
an
like,
ordinance?
I like having that in the personnel policy,
Okay,
quite frankly.
okay. So if that's the case, then we can really do this at any time then, if we just want to raise it up a couple bucks. Is that what everybody kind of thinks, or?
Do we need council action on it now, like a motion and a
Well,
second?
technically, if we want to tell the attorney to draft it, yeah, we would then.
Okay, then I'll put up a motion that we, draw it up.
What do you
With-
want it to be?
What do you want it to be,
$20.
to 19?
$20?
Well, it's gotta be one or the
One or
other.
the other.
Let's round it off.
Minimum wage to 19?
Well, let's do $20. We gotta stay comparable with the other cities in round,
Okay.
okay? We don't want somebody to come here and then, hey,
Well, I don't know if we have a $5, what do we have right now for our range? What is minimum wage today?
14.75, I
So
think,
right-
14.50.
$14.50, so right now you have a $3.50 range. So by going that means you're gonna have a $5 range. Do you wanna expand that? Because now you're talking about expanding the range as well.
Well,
I think that's always a benefit. We don't have to, we
Okay.
can stay comparable and.
I mean, you're still limited, don't get me wrong, every commissioner is still limited by what they have in their appropriations
Right.
ordinance of what they can do. So really, it's just up to you. But it's really, what restrictions do you wanna put on stuff?
so let me get clarification. If minimum wage, we said, was about $14.75, and we're going to 20, we can offer the person no less than $14.75, because you can't go below minimum wage, but we can't go over 20. Anything in between
Correct.
there is fair game.
Absolutely.
Until January hits and you have to
Well, I
minimum
have
15.
updated information.
Okay,
According to our clerk, the minimum wage right now is $13 per hour. Next year it goes to 14. It goes to 15 in 2025.
do I have that wrong? I really thought it was going to 15.
I thought it was going to
25?
15 the first of the
Yeah,
year.
That's what I
thought it was
thought too,
something.
but that's,
But
I thought it was
for
more than
purposes
that.
of this discussion, it really doesn't make a
No,
lot of
no.
difference, you know?
I
You're
just
just
like
trying
having
to
a
set an
buffer.
upper
Yeah.
Well,
limit.
I think 20 should be the max,
Okay,
It's
what's everybody think on that?
I'm fine.
depending
I'm
on
fine
what,
with it.
what a person's
Okay.
qualifications.
Because it
is.
doesn't mean you have to offer somebody
No.
$20.
Right.
Exactly, and maybe it means you'll have to change it that much less.
A little bit,
Right.
$3. Well, how about this? So if you guys wanna make a motion that we'll start drafting a new one, updated one where it has a max of 20.
I make a
let's-
motion that we,
Well, give me a sec. And let's get a little more information about that too, because I really thought it was 15. If it went to 14, that might change a little bit. Then I don't know if we want to have a $6 range then on that, because we're significantly expanding the range, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but then you handcuff yourself, because if you got somebody that's good
that's qualified, you
and,
need them.
you know, especially if it's somebody that you wanna transition into a full-time position where you're looking to see if it's gonna work for both ends,
Okay,
I think you almost handcuff yourself.
all right.
So is the motion on the floor?
Motion on the floor to draft one to go to 20? Is
Go
that,
to $20.
I'll second it.
all right, roll call.
Thank you.
Baldridge,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
McDermott,
All right,
Stefani,
Aye.
Kern.
Aye. Next item is Summer Fun Fest update. Mr. Stefano?
Did we wanna table that, because I guess there's
I looked
some
at
other
my stuff,
feedback?
Jason from Public Safety, I don't think there's anything that's gonna put us in a bad
Yeah.
spot here.
I was under the impression when I saw this on here, I thought that what you meant was, because usually every year we give kind of like a rundown of how well it went and, you know, the finances and stuff like that. I know that you were trying to get information out, like in a survey from people, from residents.
Yeah, we had talked about that.
As far as like any kind of internal stuff with like stuff that might go over security or parking or stuff like that, I don't know if I wanna talk about that public. I
we
think that's
get
more,
into
I think that's more internal to us, about stuff like that. But that's what I thought, was we were gonna talk about the finances and if there's any feedback from residents that you might have had.
Yeah, no, I presented each of the commissioners with a summary here of, what we did, in my department. We performed what's called a post-event analysis, where we sit down, everybody came to the table with their notes of what they thought went well and any recommendations that they would have for the following year to improve on what we're already doing. And, you know, that's what you're looking at right there. I'm not gonna read it all off to you because I don't wanna be long-winded about it. But I just want you to see that from our end, you know, it was evaluated. I know, you know, we often talk about events and then it kinda goes by the wayside because something else comes onto the agenda, but with regard to events, I just want you to see that what my department's doing as far as after the event, you know, we sit down, we critique it, we look at it. You want me to talk about the numbers?
If you'd like.
Okay, so we had, total expenses of $103,190.09. Total income of $118,072.80, which left us with, a net profit or net income of $14,882.71. Now, that's good because obviously we did good on it, but if you look in years past, the bracket below it, and you start going back to 2012, 2013, 2014, we got a little bit of work to do. We can, you know, we can definitely get that number up. So that's one of the things that I wanted to let, you know, the other folks on the council here know that that's gonna be part of my focus, is to see how we can improve that and how we can raise those numbers, because it's not just gonna be reflected in, you know, what we're charging for, ticket sales, but it's also gonna be, the draw that we bring and how many people, the volume of people that we're bringing in. So I leave that with you guys for any further discussion, but I just wanted you to see what we did internally, after these events.
No, I thought it looked good. You know, weather's always a thing, but anytime you have an event, there is a database I saw somewhere that showed the years. Like, you know what I'm talking about? There's an event, there's something I saw that showed the years, like if you go back in 2018, it's a very poor year, but if I remember right, like you look at the numbers, they have, like it was rain days or stuff like that. So anytime you have outdoor events, it's always kind of subject to the weather, but there is obviously the things that we can control, and I thank you, Commissioner Stefanelli. It looks like you put a lot of information together and a lot of good stuff, so, and we'll continue to evaluate from there.
I can't take any credit for it. That's all the team in the clerk's office, so, all the credit goes to them.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on, Fun Fest?
I mean, I've got some stuff, Jason, but I don't know whether you want me to present it here. It's basically about more fire and ambulance based on increasing our level of service at the event. I can talk to you about that privately.
Well, I know one of the things you brought up, I thought was parking, like finding a new method of
Well, there's
parking.
a couple things, and I thought, I didn't wanna talk about that.
Oh,
so
that,
I said not
well,
to.
no, I just didn't wanna talk about anything that's security related.
No. One thing that the biggest thing that the police noticed is that, you know how we have our pass for the vehicles to exit the parking lots? We don't have a T or a separation on those, pass to get out, so there's cars parking in the exit area. So going forward, we need to have something that, blocks that off so that people can't park there and have it marked accordingly. Another thing that I had some elderly people talk to me about was having numbers and letters maybe for the
Okay.
different rows. That way they know where they parked, because we had a lot of people getting lost, trying to find their vehicle. They just got, complacent and couldn't find it.
I think that's something between both departments, working with for next year with the street department when they put up the barricades. The way they kinda described it to me is how they would do the rows, make it a little bit better. And then on those barricades, we could have like a sign that says row A, B, C, D, E, something like that. Makes things a little bit easier. So this is some good stuff though. But if there's anything else that comes up, especially if they're security related or things that you guys saw, then we'll continue to talk and communicate for next year.
Well, one thing, I got a couple more, Jace, I'll go over them real quick, since I got them in front of me. Fire department thinks we need to have an incident action plan, which I agree with 100% for some sort of a disaster that could, whether it's weather-related or whatever the case may be. I don't think we have any formal as it pertains to that event, so that might be something we want to work on for next year. Another thing that they thought is, they think we ought to have a fire engine there staffed with 3 or 4 people, and it kind of makes sense to me. Let's say you have one of those food stands catch on fire, or, you know, let's say the ambulance, if there was something, you have a second medical emergency, you have a lost person, lost child, you can mobilize them right away to start looking. It's just additional help down there. The cost would be pretty minimal for that to happen. And another thing that I think is important is, I don't like the idea that our ambulance leaves to respond to emergency calls from the event. I think we need an ambulance there that's dedicated to that event for the
Okay.
people who are there, and I just think we can afford to do that going forward.
Okay.
So that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah, I can't remember, I wanna say there was a couple heat incidents we had with some crowds, so it would be kinda unfortunate that someone has to respond from there, and then all of a sudden there's an incident where you got already 4,000 people,
Right.
and then something there, so, good tidbit, okay. Next up is number 18, public comments over any topic.
Merriman, and I come to complain about Saturday night. The area over here, Seneca, it was just a zoo. There were kids up running on the picnic tables, there were kids running on the, the fountain. And there needs to be, because Friday night I went to Karis, and my friend's band was there, and they didn't want you walking nowhere over there. They don't want you walking around all the flora and fauna. And after seeing the band play, friends of mine, I think we could do concerts in the summertime. Not to take away from Coeur d'Alene's or Mercer's or any of them, but I think our city could put on, maybe at least 1 or 2 a month. And I've already spoken to Nutsy Mac, and they're up on the idea. I mean, maybe coming and doing once a month. But if you go over and look at Streeter's area where they do public concerts, ours is much bigger, and we could definitely pack more people in. We got downtown parking, but you need to have some kind of security there. I seen her there, and I seen Aaron there, and then after that place was nuts. And my uncle used to have the carnival every year in Spring Valley. That was my uncle's carnival. One of his pet peeves, his whole career, was keep the bicycles off the area where you're having carnival and stuff. Because people that are riding the bicycles are not looking for the people they're gonna run into, and vice versa. And a bike can really take somebody out. And it was almost at 10 o'clock, and there was bikes going back and forth, back and forth. It's not when it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. You gotta have somebody over there. There was absolutely nobody there controlling what was going on. There was 3 electric bikes that pulled up. I seen a kid on a stand-up scooter going down, and then the big one, this idiot with the Ford Mustang. I've seen him down on Water Street in Peru, and what he was trying to do, I don't know if he was trying to do burnouts or what he was. It was the same damn car. That guy's gotta be stopped. Sooner or later, he's gonna kill somebody with his 500 to 1,000 horsepower Mustang. And I think something should be done now. When we see him, let's bust him, because I don't even think he was part of the car show. I think he shows up and he likes to do his burnouts. Somebody's gonna get killed. You got people drinking beer, walking back and forth across the street. It's just a matter of time. You're gonna get somebody killed. So let's not let people, and whoever is in charge of closing off those streets, don't let nobody else down those streets. Don't let them get in there to do burnouts, because that ain't part of a car show. It used to be, when we were down by the Elks, they had a burnout ramp, but it was very highly controlled. It wasn't just your local idiots getting in there and doing burnouts. These are guys that they know how to do a controlled burnout. Some of their cars have line lock, that pistol line lock, and the car can't go forward. So, if you're gonna do something like that, it's gotta be very controlled. You can't let just all the local idiots, and sooner or later, somebody's gonna get whacked. So, if you wanna do something, let's do the safety.
Thanks,
All right,
Chair.
thank you. Anybody else? All right, Commissioner updates. Commissioner Stefanelli.
All right. I've got a short presentation that I'm gonna give to the residents here regarding building permits. Give me just a quick second here. One of the things that I wanted to highlight with the bills was we paid for the exhaust system for the fire and ambulance department. We paid for some of the fire hydrant project and some of the TIF school reimbursements. I'd also like to welcome back Jacqueline Smith to the clerk's office. She's a part-time employee of ours that we just brought on. She worked here in the past, and I know that she'll be a great asset to the department and probably give Becky some breathing room because she's been kept pretty busy. So with that, give me a second here, and I'll show you what I got regarding building permits. Yeah, go ahead. I hope the Cintas guys didn't take my cord.
Did they?
All right. We got it up on the screen, Beck? Yep. Okay. All right, so the building permit process. This is what I wanted to kind of share with you because there's been a lot of questions and hopefully this is helpful for the residents. A question we want to ask ourselves right from the outset. Is this the kind of thing that we want in our city? Probably not. Do we want something like this? Why do we need a building permit? So here's some of the bullet points that I've highlighted. The code calls for a minimum quality of construction. So anything that you're gonna find in a code book is basically the bare minimum. It doesn't mean that you can't go above and beyond that, but that's the minimum of what's required. Obviously, we want it to protect our property values because if you're taking care of your home and you have a house next door to you that's falling apart, nobody's gonna wanna buy your house from you. So there's some value there. Providing the long-term stability to the housing stock for the city, how we're measured as a whole, the city of Oglesby. If people view us as having good housing stock, then this is gonna be good for us. It's an advantage. People are gonna wanna move here. The property prices are gonna be on the up and up, and anybody who's a homeowner will obviously get fair market value, if not better, for their property. The work that's being performed, while something's being done on a project, so that it's done in a safe manner. And it's also required by the Land Development Code, which is the rules that we abide by here. When is a permit needed? So it's needed whenever somebody builds, erects, renovates, or demolishes. Those are your hot button or your keywords there. So if somebody has a existing deck and the boards on it are just beat up from the sun over a period of 20 years or better, and they want to replace the boards, they don't necessarily have to come take a building permit to replace boards on something that's already existing. If we're talking about putting an addition onto the home, building a new home, building a shed that doesn't exist, that's where a building permit becomes necessary. Installation of a new fence, a new deck that's non-existent, and renovations where plumbing or the electric or any of the mechanicals are moved. Step one, here's the application process. The city clerk in her role as the zoning administrator can ensure that, if there's any variances or zoning changes, if they're required, that she can steer you in the right direction. We did that this evening with Cordelinos and with the proposed band shell there. Completion of the building, electrical, plumbing permit application. I'd like to get this all online in the near future so that this way it keeps people from being inconvenienced where they have to come back and forth to City Hall. They can do it online, submit it, and we can send them something back saying it's either approved or this is what they're missing. And obviously the submission of construction documents showing what it is that you're actually intending to do. Plan review. Now this is the big thing. This is more pertinent in a case like a commercial or an industrial building.